Okay, so all my Scream fans out there, as you know, we are 2.5 months away from the big day, which is the release of the seventh movie. Finally, it's about time. So there's somebody by the name of Chrissy Stockton. Apparently, she's the creative director of a brand called Creepy Catalog, and she, just like many of us, is a super fan of this franchise. Now, here's what she posted in Creepy Catalog. She says, she said, I think I know who the killer in Scream 7 is going to be. She says the trailer gave it away. Now, I'm gonna get into this. I'm gonna read what she put in the article. I'm gonna read her article and then I'm gonna kind of give my thoughts and take on it. So she says the Scream 7 trailer is out and it shows a ghost face with ties to Sidney Prescott's coming of age in Woodsboro. The killer attacks a couple at Stu Macher's house, which is now an Airbnb, and then sets his or her sights on terrorizing Sydney and her daughter. As a super fan of the franchise, I couldn't help but notice a few clues that may reveal the identity of the killer in the next film. I don't have any inside information, so there are no spoilers ahead, just wild speculation. And then there's the link to the trailer. It says right here the theory. The theory is the killer in Scream 7 is Stu Macher. Stu Macher, of course, is played by Matthew Lillard. He was Billy Loomis's accomplice in the first movie. Now, the trailer shows that Stu Macher's home has been turned into an Airbnb. Ghostface arrives and terrorizes a couple of guests before saying, I'm going to burn it all down and setting fire to the home. Who would be that triggered by Stu's home being turned into a tourist destination for obnoxious fans and looky loos? Stu Macher would. His voice can even be heard at the end of the trailer saying, This is going to be fun. Let's see. A funny bit of foreshadowing for this could be that in Scream 5, Matthew Lillard has a cameo as Ghostface wielding a flamethrower in Stab 8. This scene also shows a YouTube video of the sidebar that is titled, Did the real life Stumacher survive? This in-movie theory is later referenced by Jasmine Savoy's character Mindy, who says some believe Stu is alive and living in hiding. We do know that Matthew Lillard is officially part of the Scream 7 cast. This doesn't necessarily mean Stu is alive, as David Arquette and Scott Foley are also returning, and their characters, Dewey and Roman, are deceased. All three deceased characters could return as part of a flashback, or the casting of Arquette and Foley could be a red herring to distract from the casting of Lillard. If Lillard was the only deceased character to be cast, it would more obviously create fan speculation that his character may have survived and might be behind the ghost face mask again. A brief history of the Stu Macher is alive theory. After Scream 6, the franchise was completely upended by the firing of its star, Melissa Barrera, for voicing her support for Palestine on social media. Scream 6 ended with a cliffhanger hinting at the possibility of Barrera's character Sam turning into the series villain. Skeet Ulrich had even returned to encourage Sam, his character's daughter, to follow in his psycho killer's footsteps. In his psycho killer footsteps. Scream 7 writer Guy Busick said Barrera's firing made the concept they've been working on completely unusable and they had to create a new story from scratch. At that point, franchise creator Kevin Williamson was brought on to direct and write the Scream 7 screenplay with Busick. What do we know about what Williamson wants to see in the Scream movies? His original treatment for a Scream trilogy included Lillard's return in Scream 3 as Ghostface. In Williamson's idea for Scream 3, the cold open would have Sidney and a friend being attacked in her house. Sidney outsmarts the killer and ends up killing him. When he is unmasked, Ghostface is a complete stranger, a random fan of her life story. The movie would later reveal that Stu Macher was alive and in prison. From there, he influenced a group of high school students to follow in his footsteps. Lillard was even under contract to return. However, the Columbine High School massacre in 1999, the studio wanted to steer the franchise away from a school setting, and Scream 3 was reworked to take place in Hollywood. This was after Columbine took place. This unused idea could have been recycled when Scream 7 suddenly needed a plot that centered around Sidney Prescott again. Matthew Lillard has been one of the most vocal proponents of the Stu is alive theory. In an interview with Us Weekly, he argued that because his character was 17 years old at the time of Scream, he could have served 25 years in prison and be released in time for Scream 7. In the interview, he even offers to throw a TV on my face right now to prove that it's possible to survive such an event. Is Stu Macher alive and will he be revealed as the killer in Scream 7? We'll find out together when Scream 7 hits theaters on February 27th. Okay, so here's what I have to say about some of this. Um, so the idea of, so she said in that article, she said, well, if it was only him being returned, and if it wasn't like, for David Arquette and Scott Foley, it would make it more obvious that he's the killer. But then she also, to be fair to her, she pointed out that his appearance in that film could most likely be like a flashback, or he have like this, somebody could be hallucinating about him, just like how Sam did with Billy Loomis in the fifth and sixth films. I would also argue that, so I don't remember if they put Skeet Ulrich in the trailers for Screams 5 and 6. I don't remember if they showed his face in the trailer, but if they did, it would be like, okay, I don't know that that would make many fans to believe that, oh, he wasn't really dead and he'd come back and he's a killer again. Um and we saw that, like I said, in the fifth and sixth movies, he was this hallucination, and obviously we knew it's like, okay, he's not behind the killings, but what's he doing here? So I think that's the most likely thing that could happen. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was supposed to be that Skeet Ulrich was supposed to be in the seventh movie, but then he he was cut from it, or he declined it, or whatever it may be. But Scott Foley, who played Roman, who was the killer in the third movie, who turned out to be, Sydney's long lost half brother. Um, I think the same thing with him. And Dewey was obviously killed in Scream 5 in the hospital scene by Ghostface. And my question is, well, how is he going to return? Is this going to be part of Gail's hallucination? So, and then here's the other thing I want to add to that. I also want to say that I'm not going to sit here and say that it's going to turn out to be a bad movie if Stu returns and is the killer again. But I don't know how many fans I speak for on this. I want to say I speak for at least 40 to 50% of Scream fans when I say, listen, Matthew Lillard was great in Scream, and we're gonna remember him for that role for a long time. But I want there to be new killers each in each sequel. For every movie, there has to be a new killer or a new set of killers. I know most of the movies had two killers. One movie had one killer. One movie had three killers. Same thing with the TV shows. Each season had, the first season had one killer. The second had an additional killer who was tied to the first one, and the third season had two killers. So I mean, if they kill the characters and bring them back and they're killers again, well, to me, what that would do is that would open up the door for other people. So that'd be like, okay, so Lillard again, Stu again would be the killer in Scream 7. But then, so what does that mean? So for Scream 8, you're going to bring back Roman Bridger again, and then he could turn out to be the killer again. And then you bring back all these other people like Jill and, uh, you know, Richie, Amber. Well, then again, to be fair, I think it's impossible for Richie to come back considering how he was killed. You're not coming back from that. But some of these other people like Billy's mom or Mickey. So it's like I don't know. That's a tough one. But again, hey, I'm not here to invalidate or negate what she's saying here because at the end of the day, I mean, listen, we're all fans here. We're all looking at the same things. I mean, um everybody has an opinion, everybody has a theory. Um as of right now, I guess my first question would be, well, how many killers is this movie going to feature? Is it going to be one? Is it going to be two? Um, by the way, I thought Sydney was going to have more than one daughter in this movie, but I guess they're just going to have the one for now. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of different theories, and you can say that it is plausible and it makes sense. Uh, I kind of don't want to see Stu as a killer again, regardless of how entertaining he was in the first movie, regardless of how entertaining Jill was in the fourth movie, or go down the list. It's Detective Bailey and all these others, Ethan Quinn. But I mean, I don't know. That's a tough one. What do you guys think? I think that's the ultimate question. The ultimate two questions are: is Stu Macher still alive? And if so, is he going to be a killer again? Is he going to be solo this time, or is he going to have a partner? Is that partner going to be somebody close to Sydney? My theories were Well, in Scream 1, you had Billy as the main killer. In the sequel, his mother was the killer. Fast forward to, Scream 5, the main killer was Richie. And in the following movie, the killers were his family, his father, his brother, his sister. So my thing is, in this movie, are they going to have it to where, I don't know, Stu Macher was revealed to have messed around with a girl and she got pregnant right before his death, and maybe, you know, whoever that child is, maybe are they somebody that could be a killer and they're avenging their father? Maybe is that possible? Um, this it can go in so many different directions, and that's what creativity is about. I mean, with a movie with stuff like this, you really don't know what to expect. We don't even know how many killers there are going to be in this movie, so I don't know. I think it's kind of a valid question, but we'll see. We'll really see about that. Um, like I said, me personally, I don't want to see him as a killer again because I don't want to see the same killers. But I mean, if it turns out to be that way, I mean, it just is what it is. But regardless, nothing is stopping me from seeing that movie on opening weekend. So I got a lot more stuff to talk about. Subscribe to my channel and stay tuned.